Okay, so we are live. For everyone in class, everyone watching online, to the brothers, Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yishar B'Gatham. To the sisters, Yahweh Shamar Alatham Bashim Yahushai. I'm Priest and Officer Ashargapan. It's good to be back. I've been gone for a little bit. And this is Wednesday's law class, hosted by I.S.U.P.K. Yonkers Valley for Commanding General YAHANNA, Christ and the Most High, of course, raising up Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans all over the country. And today is the law class. So today, for some, might be a review. For others, this may be a brand new class. I put the title of the video very generic, just to surprise everyone. But today we're going to go into, of course, the laws, but that the laws were only here when Moses gave them. Some people think the laws are, but today we're gonna discuss how the laws and prove how the laws were here before Moses. All right. Now, brother in class, Brian, right?
Yes, sir.
Brian, what do you think?
When here since Adam, Cain, and Abel.
Since Cain and Abel?
Yes, sir.
Since then or before that?
Since Adam.
Since Adam, okay.
Before that, yeah.
Where would you go to prove that? Or what would you say to start to prove that the laws were here during the time of Adam?
When the Most High lifted up Adam out of the dirt, out of the dust of the ground, he brought him up by giving him his laws.
I love that. Let's go there. Let's see. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly when the laws were given to Adam, were given to the earth. I believe that is in Genesis 2.
The what? Yes, sir. House. 2 and 7.
Yes, okay. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2. I'm going to have you read, all right, brother?
Yes, sir.
Just read the chapter, book, and verse.
All right. This is Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
Now, this is exactly when the Most High chose Adam, when the Most High decided to wake Adam up from that low state that he was living in with the other men or mankind that was living on the earth at that time. This is exactly the point where the breath of life, which is the law, was given to man, specifically Adam. This is the exact moment when the laws of God were established on earth. All right, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. Now, what kind of laws are there? All the laws are broken down into sections, Like we got the laws that pertain to this, laws that pertain to that, laws that pertain to this. What are some, as you read the Old Testament and into the New Testament, right? What are some of the, let's say, branches, branches of the law? Abadi? Government? Yes. We can go there as well.
Deuteronomy 16, you want to start?
Yes.
You can start like 16 and 17 or 18.
But I wanted to prove that in the before Moses. Actually, we can do that. You said Deuteronomy what?
16 and I want to say 19 is where.
Can you get that, Baba Sean?
There's Deuteronomy 16, verse 18.
All right, no, yeah, I just want you to get it. Make sure that's exactly what you're talking about, okay?
Yeah, All
right. So, can we prove that there was a form of government or a form of order before Noah or before Moses? Think about it. Think big, think small, think narrow, think wide, think general. Could we prove that there was some form of order, organization, hierarchy, government? Can we?
Among Slavic, sir.
Yeah.
If I may, you mean amongst our own people?
Just in general.
Oh, in general. Trying to think. Well, they did try to arrest Abraham in Egypt.
Before that. Brother?
I would say yes, there were.
What?
There was laws in place, there was order, there was structure.
To prove that there was some form of government or order?
Prove. I wouldn't know where to prove it, though, sir.
No, it's like knowing him.
Before that.
You talking about law or government?
Well, you brought up the government.
Like government as in an actual body that carries out law. That's what I meant.
Yes, or something that establishes the order for the government and says how it should be done and who's in charge of what.
So like, you talking about dietary? Or, you're not talking about dietary.
We're talking about government, order and government,
Huh.
hierarchy, structure, how things should be done.
So like, I'm not most.
The very first chapter, very first book, very first chapter, very first verse.
Con.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's exactly showing you. Yeah.
That actually is good.
And it wasn't me, it was the Lord. Because I wasn't even thinking about going to government. And when you said government, the Most High just put that thought in my head, and I was like, boom.
Yeah.
Let's go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. Because this is where government starts. This is where order starts. This is where the hierarchy and structure of every single thing begins.
You got any Colossians 2 or you just won't?
Whole Colossians 2. I gotta hear that. Brian, you mind reading?
Yes, sir. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
When?
In the beginning.
Who?
God.
What did he do?
Created the heavens and the earth.
So God right here, of course, God is an OG. He's just giving orders for people who are right. Very simple and stuck in Christianity.
Right.
God is giving orders. God is an OG. He don't got to do nothing but lift the finger and point or give the order and say do. Right. So we already know that the Most High is not literally, him himself is not literally creating heaven and earth.
Right.
The angels who he created first, perfectly, they're the ones that are getting the orders and doing everything. But of course, in any government, who gets the credit?
Most High.
Well, in any government.
The leader.
Of course. And in any gang, who gets the credit? Right? In any organization, who gets the credit? Yes. So here, God is always going. The Most High is always going to receive the credit for everything that is done, everything that is created, because it's Him that gives the order for it to be done in the first place. Right? I wouldn't have had the thought to go on to World Star Hip Hop back in 2016 and scroll through videos and come across a video, Captain Mashak telling a white woman that she's a monster because of what her people have done to blacks and Hispanics. That wasn't just my thought to randomly go let's just come up with a time at 6:31 p.m. while I'm smoking a blunt, right? And drinking a little cognac. That wasn't just me deciding. The Most High had definitely sent a messenger to put that thought in my head to make me want to go on to my Apple computer, type in World Star Hip Hop, connect to Google, and find that video. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here right now teaching. So everything, of course, is always credited to the Most High. Right? Keep going.
Verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, And darkness was upon the face of the deep.
So we all know, right? When there's no structure, everything's all crazy, right? If Israel didn't have the laws that were passed down to him from his forefathers and forefathers, we wouldn't have the structure to be such a great civilization during the time of Saul, King David, King Solomon. We wouldn't even have the opportunity to last as long as we did in terms of the two kingdoms splitting if we didn't have some type of government or some type of rulership laws to keep us in order. Of course, we know that failed because we're so stubborn and stiff-necked, and we can't help being disobedient children, right? But there are points in our history where it shows that where we had a thriving government because we adhered to these laws of structure, right, to the laws of a hierarchy, to these laws of rulership, to these laws of government, as Abadia said. Keep going.
And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Verse 3. And God said, let there be light.
What?
Let there be light. And there was light.
And so God said, let there be light. And this light, of course, we know it is the sun. It's the Big Bang creating. When people say science is not in the Bible, this is the Big Bang. This is what people like to associate as the Big Bang. Let there be light. The gases and molecules and dust particles, whatever was there, came together. The angels put them together. Boom! Explosions, planets and rocks and all types of elements on the periodic table that people like to live their life by was created and established, right? But if you think about it, it was also light, because can people live successfully without light? We can't. Can we live a thriving civilization or have a thriving government without the light without this quote unquote light to inspire us to have leadership, organization, structure? Like when I wipe my ass every day, when I use the bathroom, some type of government, organization, hierarchy, structure was put in place to make the sewage go down and connect and go somewhere to be cleaned and the water recycled. There's some type of order, right?
Right.
Let's go down some more. I want to go to where Adam was given charge of everything on earth. I think that's in 2 as well.
That would be in 2. I want to say 2 and 8.
2 and 8?
Yeah, time. 2 and...
Wait, let's start at... No, it's in 1. Let's go to... Sorry, not specifically Adam.
Oh, you mean the mankind?
Yes.
26, sir.
Yeah. Let's go to verse...
I thought you meant naming them.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 27.
All right, Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
So, right, us mankind, man and woman, were all created on this day, which is the 6th day of creation, right? Which would technically, according to scriptures, be the 6,000th year, because every day to God is 1,000 years to mankind. So the entire, let's just say, race of mankind was created on the 6th day, or the 6,000th year. So thousands and millions and billions of people, whatever that number was, were all created at the same time during that 6,000th year. So for 1,000 years, mankind was created and reproducing and building. Keep going.
And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it.
And what?
And subdue it.
Now, what does subdue mean? Can anyone give me the definition of subdue? Don't worry, in here we're very big on looking things up, because people out there in the street, they, first of all, when brothers come into the when brothers and sisters come into the ISUPK, some of us may have a elementary school level education, a junior high school level education, a high school education, dropped out of high school education, a GED education. Some of us went to college and got doctorates and masters and graduates, right? But we all know one thing, that our people have a difficulty of learning. So we make it a point for us to make sure we know what we're talking about, so that way we can prove to our people, no matter the reading level, no matter the grade level, no matter the education level, because at the end of the day, we want our people to be educated together. So if we don't know something, if we want to prove something to someone that doesn't know something, it's always in our best interest to prove it to them. Anyone got the definition?
God. Subdue, overcome, quieten, or bring under control a feeling or a person.
Say the last part again, before the feeling or person.
Or bring under control.
So what?
Bring under control.
So God said to mankind to bring under control. What? To bring under control what? To have rulership over what?
The planet.
The planet, Earth. That's beginning to establish government. God said, hey, listen, go take control over this earth. I had waters built, rivers and lakes and streams and ponds. There's fishes and beasts and animals all over this planet. There's flowers and trees and herbs and all over this planet. Rule it. Take control over it. Because God has control over everything. And underneath God, you have Christ. And underneath Christ, you got all these angels.
Right.
There's an order and structure, a form of government that has always been since the beginning. Because you can't have government without the laws. And the laws that God had, the word that was in the beginning, was for the government that was to exist. All right, keep going.
And have dominion.
What?
Dominion.
Have dominion, again, rulership. Keep going.
Over the fish of the sea.
Everything in the waters.
And over the fowl of the air.
Everything that can fly in the sky.
And over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
From things that crawl on their bellies, to things that crawl on 8 legs, 100 legs, to things that walk upright or pretend to walk upright and then have to walk back on all fours, to things that swing in the trees, and to every single thing we were to have rulership over. So from the beginning, the government was that mankind were to rule all the other animals underneath us. All the other reptiles and mammals that white people like to label. Oh, that's a reptile, and that's a mammal, and that's an insect. Oh, that's an herbivore, and a carnivore, and whatever the hell it was, we were to rule over it. That's a form of government right there. We are on top, they are on the bottom. Right. And that's how things are supposed to be. That's why we don't feel bad and say, I'm going to go vegan, or you're a criminal because you're killing a poor sheep for Passover. Listen, that's the law. We're over that sheep. I don't feel bad when I feed that sheep. I don't feel bad when I spend money to make sure that sheep is taken care of. I don't feel bad when that sheep gives birth. I don't feel bad when that sheep, that little lamb, I have to feed it and take care of it and protect it from wolves and foxes. Right. And I definitely don't feel bad when that sheep is a year old and now I have to give that sheep to the Lord. I don't feel bad whatsoever because we are above animals, right? Right. Okay. Let's go to chapter 2 now. When Adam was given dominion, where is that at?
19.
19.
Okay.
All right, Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. Again, this is government, this is structure, right? Keep going.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam.
Unto who?
Unto Adam.
Now let's be sure all the beasts and fowls were created in chapter 1, right? So it's not saying that the Lord is forming them right there and then. They were already formed. They're just reiterating that this is what the Lord did, and now he's bringing them to a specific man out of mankind, and this man is Adam. Keep going.
To see what he would call them.
Why would God do that? Right? Who cares what the animal that says bah is called, right? Who cares what the animal that goes roar is called? Who cares what the animal that goes quack quack is called? Who cares? Man is above animal. Man will use animal however he sees fits. Why is God picking a specific person to do something very specific? Brother?
Because Adam had dominion over it, so it's his call.
Yes, because the person in charge or the person that is put in charge gets to do everything that is required. And so if I want someone to know that I'm talking about a chicken, I'm not going to say cluck cluck cluck, right? Or whatever is imitation sound. I'm going to tell them chicken. I'm going to tell them the lion needs to be killed. Right? I'm going to tell them that wolf needs to be killed because it's eating our sheep. I'm going to tell them, bring me that carrot, right? That's a form of government and structure. God is giving Adam the ability to put everything in order, starting with naming all these creatures. Keep going.
And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
And whatever Adam said, chicken. Well, of course, in the Hebrew, in the Lashawan Kodash, right? I'm just saying, I don't know the names for these animals in the Hebrew, but in English, chicken, duck, alligator, crocodile, lion, flamingo, giraffe. That's a weird name to call something, right? Giraffe, ram, moose, ox, cow, sheep, rabbit, hare. Yes?
If I may, name isn't necessarily like the actual name. It's like what their purpose is. Meaning like Adam created the first corral, the first like barn. Like
barn.
Meaning like what's called, he saw like cattle, like and saw that if I cut off the bull's testicles, it's an ox now and I can use that for farm work. The cow is docile, I can use that to give milk. The chicken is fat and can't run too far, I can use that for eggs.
Look, that's even better than my simple breakdown.
Right, because if I may,
but
the word name in Hebrew also means title or renown. Your title means like your job title. You're the dog. Your job is to watch the sheep. You're the wolf. Your job is to eat the sheep. So I know to keep you away and keep you by sheep.
Isn't that government?
God.
Isn't that order?
Right.
Because then we go down to prove Abadi's point even more. Read the 20th verse.
Verse 20. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field.
Stop right there. So everything had a name, everything had a purpose.
Right.
Right? That like Abadi said, that ox is good to pull this plow or whatever,
right,
to help till the land.
Right.
Right? Adam called this the bee because the bee is used to help pollinate flowers in the earth and help things grow.
Right.
Right? Adam called this the apple tree because it yields a certain fruit, and the fruit we can eat. We can chop it up, mash it up, make apple pie, make our apple juice, right? Everything has an order, everything has a name, everything has a purpose. It's all part of structure, hierarchy, which can go back to government. Now, Abadia, can you go back to Deuteronomy?
Yeah, I got it.
We're in
Deuteronomy 16, you want to start at verse 18.
Deuteronomy 16.
Verse 18.
Hold on 1 second. Give time for everyone to go there. Let me see if there's any questions online. Check YouTube.
And I'm still holding the Colossians too.
Say again?
I'm still holding the Colossians if you need to go.
Okay, the what?
That's the one that lets you know Christ was created and created everything after. Show the whole government like that.
All right, go ahead, read.
There's Deuteronomy 16 and 18. Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Most High thy power giveth thee, throughout thy tribes. And they shall judge the people with just judgment.
So what did Moses established here? About it?
A legislative, well, no, a judicial branch of government.
Correct. He created a judicial branch of government. People who are going to be put in charge to know the law, make judgments based on the law, on people who may or may not have broken the law.
Right.
Right? We also have an executive branch, which is Moses and the elders of Israel.
Right.
We also have a legislative branch, which would,
our executive and legislative would be basically the same thing.
Same thing, correct.
Right.
Because also the Levites would be part of the executive branch because they go and carry out the orders.
Right.
Like they would be the modern day police.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, that's part of the executive branch.
If I may, they really be a part of all three because the high priest is considered also a judge.
That's correct. That's correct. So here we're having order. We're having judges and officers put in place. When if I were to commit adultery or murder someone or steal from someone, there's laws that have been created by an institution, a ruling body, a government who I have to answer to. And this ruling body, this government, the person that is in charge has been put there by the Most High. Right? We had all of this from the beginning. Right. All the way from Genesis, even to the times of Revelation. Even when we weren't in power and we were slaves, we still had some form of government or leadership. We know when someone broke the law, right? This person committed adultery. They need to be stoned to death. We're in league with the Romans, so they have given us the ability to carry out and execute our laws. We can go to the Romans and let them know that we need this person to be punished because they broke our laws. And what would happen? Same thing that happened to Christ. The Romans said, okay, put him up on that crucifix. Right. And the Jews our people wanted him killed. Right. Even though Pontius Pilate was like, hey, I don't want nothing else more to do with this. Even when he said, who do you want to go free? We got what, a murderer and someone else up on here? Right. It was a murderer and a thief. A murderer and a thief. And someone you just don't like. A murderer who has purposely, deliberately, premeditatedly taken probably 1, 2, 3, 4 people's lives. We have a thief, someone who does this often, who was caught in the act. And we had someone who hasn't committed murder, which is a crime for everyone, who hasn't stolen anything, which is a crime to the Romans and to the Jews, right? He hasn't committed adultery, sleeping with another man's wife. The Romans, they white people, they let's not even go there. But we know we're not supposed to do that. This man literally did nothing but teach people to obey the laws, but to live above the laws. To live as if we shouldn't concern ourselves with, I'm going to get my hand chopped off for stealing this. Because in my mind, I shouldn't even want to steal. I shouldn't even be worried about being stoned if I'm caught sleeping with another man's wife. Because in my mind, I'm not worried about sleeping with another man's wife. I have my own life. Right? This man taught us to live above the law. Taught us to live in the spirit of the law. And not just by the written word of what should happen as a punishment if you broke the law. Right. But they still had this man in the middle between a murderer and a thief put to death. Right? So we always had some form of government, right? There's another one, thou shalt make no king. Is that Deuteronomy 2?
That's 17.
Okay. Let's go to Deuteronomy 17, right?
17 and it's started 14 really.
Yeah. Yes.
14. This is Deuteronomy 17 and 14. When thou art come unto the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all nations that are about me. 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Most High thy power shall choose. one from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
So every other race or tribe of a race on earth at this time was establishing or had established already a form of government. We already had Egypt, right? We know about Cush. We know about the Babylonians in Mesopotamia, right? We know about the Greeks and the Romans. We even know about all these minuscule civilizations, right? That for somehow got some type of fame or popularity to be recorded in our history books, like the Moabs, the Chinese, the Japanese, you know. But here, when we were finally free from captivity, it wasn't enough for us to have the Most High rule over us, right? Because who's seen the Most High? Who's actually held hands with the Most High and walked down the river and just chopped it up? You know what I'm saying? Who can run up their door, run down the block, run up the steps, and go talk to the Most High? Right? We never had that.
Right.
But these heathens, they can cry and go see their king. They can cry and go see their emperor. They can cry and go see their czar, their Caesar, right? Their ruler. So we were jealous of these other nations, even though we had an actual ruler. We had an actual power that can split the sea, that can bring fire from the earth. That's my favorite thing. I don't know why, but that's just my favorite. You can bring fire from the earth at the same time as ice is falling. That's just, to me, that's like one of the coolest shits ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm walking, fire and ice coming down. Fire coming up, ice coming down. That's just amazing. Like, okay, I've seen enough in my lifetime. Thank you, Lord.
Right.
You know? Like, but that wasn't enough, you know? Because we have to keep in mind that we are a stiff-necked and stubborn people. So the generation that comes after us, they might believe it, you know? You were there, Grandpa. You were there, Mom. The generation after them, fire and ice? Okay, sounds believable. It's in the book, right? The generation after that, and then the generation after that, and then nigga, you lying, right? We don't believe shit like that. Like I didn't see that happen. That was like 600 years ago. That was like great grandpa. You know what I mean? Like, you really believe, you were like that, you really expect me to, okay, I can understand don't eat pig and this, but you really expect me to believe that the water just split open? You really just expect me to believe that there's ice coming down at the same time as there's fire? You know, fire, you know, ice turns into water gets rid of fire, right, Dad? Look, fire out. So we have difficulty believing and accepting these laws. That's why in Christianity we think these are just stories to tell our children, right? You don't have to. You can eat the pig, but the story is saying not to eat the pig, right? And that was Leviticus 13 and 14.
Which one is it?
The swan, thou shalt not eat swine. The dietary. 11. Okay, the story is saying don't eat the swine, but here's your pork chop. You know, put some bacon gravy on it. You know what I'm saying? But we always have had structure. And here we were jealous because we wanted something real. Like we wanted a real God that we can touch and feel, so we created that golden calf while Moses was up there doing everything for us with the Lord. Right?
Right.
Who basically saved us multiple times from the Lord killing us. How are you going to take them out of slavery just to kill them in the wilderness? Everyone is gonna look at you bad, God. And you're the God over all the earth. You're the only real God that exists over Amun-Ra and Hatshepsut and Shiva and all these other gods that can ever come. You're actually real. And these other people, they know you're real, but they still create their fake deities. But everyone's gonna look at you like you're bad and evil for doing this. So we needed something. And you know what? The Lord gave it. He said, you know what? Okay, fine. I'm not good enough. I'll let you have an actual ruler that you can touch and feel and speak to and go to and go to if there's complaints or go to for protection. I will allow that to happen. And God did. So we had our first king, I believe it's Saul, right? And at one point Saul was with the Lord. He moved with the Lord. He did what the Lord wanted to with the advisements of the prophet Samuel. And then there came a time when Saul, the leadership felt weak. Saul didn't do what he was supposed to do. Samuel told him and warned him, and it was time for a new king to be risen up. And again, King David moved with the Lord. Then there came a time when he felt weak, and he paid for that. Yeah. Then King Solomon came, and they said, see, having all these kings was part of the beginning of our downfall. Right? Because we wanted governments like all these other nations when we had a perfect government. Like our body brought out, government is part of the law. The law that created our government was perfect. We didn't need a king. It was perfect the way it was set up by Moses. We have judges and rulers, people that you go to. We have these Levites that carry out the laws, the punishment for the laws as well. These are the days that we're all supposed to come together. We had a perfect government. We had a government without a physical single ruler. There wasn't really a parliament. There wasn't really a senate. There wasn't really a dictatorship. There wasn't really a tyrannic rulership. There wasn't Democrats and Republicans. It was the Most High and the person that he gave the laws to give to all of us. And if we had a problem, and if I lived here, I would go to the priest that lived near me for the solution. If I lived over here, I would go to the priest that lived near me for the solution. A couple of times a year, we all came together to be with each other. Perfect rulership, everything in harmony. But we wanted to be like all these other nations. We wanted to have a government like them because they didn't have perfect governments. Right. Their governments, people stabbed each other in the back for rulership. People overthrew each other. People fought with each other, right? You want to say something about it?
Now I was gonna actually read, but it's not long. Just like when Samuel initially told Israel, like he explained, you understand when you have a king, if he wakes up and says, "Yeah, we're going to war because I want some money," you can't say anything to him. Your son is going to war. If he says, "Yeah, I want all these young women to be out here baking my pastries," you can't say anything.
Correct.
If you want 10% of all the farmers' seed, you can't say anything. So on and so forth.
And he can be even wicked. He can say, he can be wicked and say, "I have to sleep with your women before you do."
Well,
that's unlawful. That's unlawful. But that's what kings in other nations did. Right. And this is just proving my point because we wanted to be like all these other nations. Right. Some nations, they said, I would have to sleep with your wife on your wedding day before you do. If I conquered this nation, I want to increase the chances of my people ruling and their people diminishing. On your wedding day, I have to sleep with your wife. He can do that. That's what the king does. And that's what our people didn't understand, that as a body explained. If the king decided that today we're going to war, we're going to war. If the king decided today, your children will be taken at the age of 5, your men children will be taken at the age of 5 to train to be warriors and killers and straight up shooters and gunners. And you can't see them until they turn 18. You can't say nothing about it because you wanted to have a king. And the king rules over his people. And the people do what the king says. And we didn't think about stuff like that. But as Abadi said, that's why Saul was explaining to the people. What's that?
Samuel.
That's
First Samuel's 8, and you can start.
That's the first chapter, right?
1 Samuel 8, chapter 10. Yeah, 1 Samuel.
1 Samuel chapter 8.
Verse 10, and then going down.
In 1 Samuel chapter 8, this is what the prophet Samuel is explaining to the people.
Right.
You want a king, but just to let you know, if you want a king, you're going to have to do whatever the king tells you to do.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying, and my example was extreme because that's what other nations have done. So I was just using that as an example of what the people would have to deal with and accept if the king said that. But Saul in the beginning was very a righteous man.
Right.
He kept the law, so he would not have said, let me sleep with your wives first before you do. That's unlawful.
Right.
But as an example, what other kings of other nations would, that's something that they would have done. About you?
Now, I was gonna say, like, another thing I thought about is Samuel hits at it from the perspective of he can be evil, and there are things that he can do that you really can't do anything about.
He could be. He can say, "All I want. Not only are you going to give 10% of your yearly earnings to the priest,
right,
but I want half of everything else."
Right.
The king can say that, brother.
Right. So basically, because they didn't realize they were dealing with a man and being a king, and that man could seem he could have his lust and desires, and he could fall out of the grace. And I guess Israel didn't realize that they were still dealing with a man when they had the Most High, who was always loyal, always righteous.
Men, wow. we are. I'm just speaking about Israelites right now. When I say men, we are created to be perfect.
Right.
The angels were created perfectly.
Right.
Us Israelites, us men, women as well, we're created to be perfect.
Right.
And that is what we have to strive for, to prove to the Most High that we're worthy. Is that we have to strive to be perfect.
Right.
About you, Vasily?
Nah, what I was trying to say was that the fact that, like, it doesn't even have to be that the king is necessarily evil. Like in the case of David, not even talking about the Bathsheba situation, more so the situation with the census. Like David, David didn't mean any harm. He was tempted by Satan, who got in his head, you need to count your men. And David thought that was a good thing to do for Israel. And yet still it wasn't, and he got punished for that.
Okay.
You need what's called, the people didn't understand his stupidity as a, well, I won't call
his poor decision.
Yeah, his poor decision making in that instance led to the death of what, a few 100?
Because just thinking as a man, right? If I'm going to war, it makes sense to know how many soldiers you have.
Right.
Okay, I got 6,000 spearmen, 5,000 archers,
right,
20,000 cavalry men on horses, 10,000 on chariots. I got 2,000 archers on camelback.
Infantry.
You know, I got 20,000 infantry. Right? It would make sense strategically and to know.
Right.
But we weren't supposed to do that.
Right.
Because as we learn with stories in the Bible, right? Well, I think it's
Gideon, sir?
No, yeah, I want to go there, but I think it's in Rome. No, not Romans. What was written aforetime was written for our learning. That's Romans.
Yeah, that's Romans. Romans 15:4.
Oh yes, okay. And Romans, right? What was written aforetime was written for our learning. So we know that an army of 300, or maybe even less, can defeat thousands.
Right.
We know that an army of 1,000 can defeat thousands, like with the Maccabees.
Right. We
know that a few men can destroy great numbers of people when we're with the Lord. And David knew that we were with the Lord. We didn't have to worry about the numbers of men. Mm. Because no matter how many men our enemies had, as long as we are with the Lord, as long as the Lord is with us for doing what the Lord tells us to do, we will win everything. Mm. I'm gonna exaggerate, but it probably wouldn't be an exaggeration. One man could go against hundreds or thousands, right? In the case of Samson, right. Him with the donkey jaw, right. cutting down people, right? Right.
If I may, one thing like David in that instance didn't even think about, like people who forget or they don't know the history. Israel did not have access to metal until David became king. Like any battle you see between Moses up until the reign of King David, mainly everybody had wooden weapons. You can look it up because like you'll look, and I was talking to General Muhammad about it, and he was saying all the nations, all our neighbors about us had a rule. Do not sell the Israelites weapons and do not teach them to make metal.
I would like to learn about that because I know during the Bronze Age, slaves made things for the ruling class.
You know? So it was like what's it called? You see us doing this, and you were just talking about how few men were able to do it. But when you look at it, you look at situations like Gideon, where it was just 300 of them, you have to also put into account it's 300 men who more than likely did not go into that battle with a metal weapon. They went in with some wood and killed thousands.
Or with very poor weapons.
Right.
You know?
So like one time in the book of Samuel, I could pull it, we went to war with gardening tools. Like that, because that's all they would sell.
That makes sense. Plow hooks and
that's the only metal they give us.
That makes sense.
Brother? Around that time, that's what he told them to start learning how to use the bow and arrow, right?
That would be more so David Beckham, like around more towards that time.
All right. Now, what's the verse that you had in you said Colossians?
Colossians. That would be Colossians 1 and 15.
Let's go to Colossians chapter 1, verse 15.
So, you want to? I don't know. You want to start at You want to start at 14 or 15? Because 14 lets you know who it is. It doesn't give a name. 15 and 16. But 14, you definitely know who it is.
It's talking about Christ.
Yeah, kind of remission of sins. Forgiveness, Salakia.
No, just give me I think it's in Corinthians, the hierarchy.
You want the hierarchy?
The man is the head of the woman.
Yeah. 1 Corinthians 11:3.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3.
You want me to get it, brother?
Oh, you get it. No, the brother can get it.
Okay.
So we're going to conclude the whole government aspect of the law with this. Let's start in verse 2.
All right, it's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 2. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances.
The what?
The ordinances.
The ordinances, their laws, their statutes, their commandments. There's things that go with a government or an order or a structure to make sure that everything falls in place, to make sure that everything is operated and ran smoothly. Right? Keep going.
As I delivered them to you. But I will have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
What?
That the head of every man is Christ.
So the person that ruled, the actual person, well, he was a celestial being, then became a terrestrial being. Let's just go with person for right now. Right? Because he's the only celestial being or extraterrestrial being, however you want to put it, that actually was born of a flesh multiple times, as Isaac, as Adam, as Solomon, and again as Christ. So the man, Christ, he's the ruler over all of us.
God.
And he's the perfect ruler over all of us. Yes, Old Testament Israelites are right when they said that our only ruler is the Most High, right? They're correct. But what they fail in that understanding is that the Most High puts people in positions to rule for him, to make sure things fall in order for him. Because again, if I'm Jeff Bezos, right, I'm not in the damn factory warehouse in Queens or Staten Island.
Right.
I'm not building the machines that we're using to scan and send. Right. I'm not there physically monitoring and making sure that my packers at the warehouse are standing for a full straight 8 hours and not taking any unnecessary breaks.
Oh yeah.
I'm the CEO. I'm gonna sit my ass down in my nice cushion chair with my mahogany desk, with my red oak bookshelf, with my top of the line Amazon telephone, watching my stocks go up and down on my big ass project, right? I'm sitting down back chilling with my essential water, just chilling. I'm not actually doing all these tedious and minuscule things.
Right.
I'm not there to make sure, okay, you broke the law and now you need to punish. Listen, when people break the law, I'm telling someone, when people break the law, you need to know and you need to make sure it's dealt with. Now, you know how many people there are? He's not going to go to each one. He goes, okay, listen, you 1,000, you're going to make sure to report to me when someone breaks the law, and you're going to decide what the punishment is, and then let me know, and then you're going to make sure that the punishment was carried out, and then let me know, because then I have to report. Christ is that person that gets all that work done for the Most High. That's why Christ is the king of all Israel. That's why we have an actual ruler. That's why we say that we all bow down to Christ, is because he's that man that made the greatest sacrifice to convince the Most High to forgive us. He's the only king that lived perfectly, that deserves that honor, that has earned that honor, not only from us, but showed the most powerful being in the world that we can be perfect and that we can do what he wants. And we can make sure that everything is done exactly the way he wants it done. Jeff Bezos didn't get successful by having a bunch of fuck-ups. Jeff Bezos got successful because he had a plan. He put people in charge that can build his empire. Right. And Christ is able to build the empire for the Most High. Right. Keep going.
And the head of the woman is the man.
And listen, we can't have women running rampant around here.
No, sir.
We all know that the woman is the weaker vessel. That's true. But there's more to than just knowing and telling women on the street that they're the weaker vessel and they need to shut up. It's our responsibility as the head of that weaker vessel to guide them, to nourish them, to feed them, to give them emotional, physical, spiritual, mental support. It is our job to make sure that that weaker vessel is encased around protection, is encased around growth, is encased around love. It's encased around not ever having to worry. That's why the man is the head of the woman, because the man is put into that position to make sure that that woman is taken care of. Just like the woman is over the kids, because she's given that responsibility to help raise these children from birth. Right? Keep going. Right.
And the head of Christ is God.
Listen, our king knows he knows he's a king. He knows I rule over all Israel. He knows he rules over the entire earth. But he's so humble that he knows that he's nothing, because he reports to the Most High.
Right.
Other nations, their kings think that they're gods.
Right.
Those Ammonites, those Japanese. Listen, I'm a god king of the sun. The Persians, I'm a Xerxes. I'm God king, and I'm painted like in the movie 300. I'm a God king, and I'm painted myself in gold. Right? Right. Or like the Egyptians, I am a descendant of the sun. I am Amun-Ra. I am Ra reincarnated. They think their kings, their rulers, think that they are gods on earth. Descendants from the sun god, the moon god, the water god, the spirit god, the wind god, the tree god, the toad god, the totem pole god, the oak wood god, all these stupid things, the mountain god, right? I'm a descendant of Zeus himself, right? And they think that it stops there. Christ is so perfect. He knows that, yes, he's a king. Yes, he has rulership. He knows that he was given that rulership. He knows that he was made to be the king. When a person understands the fact, I am made to do something, they know that something created them and they have to answer to something. Captain Tazariak was made a captain over this whole northeast region. He knows that. He knows it was given to him. He knows it can be taken away. Captain Mashak, the nuclear warhead himself, he knows he's been put into the position he's been put in. It was given to him. He knows that it can be taken. Captain Mawquad, shout out the fire weekend happening July 22nd and July 24th the fire weekend cookout over in the Midwest. Whoever can make it out there to Chi-Town, make sure you get out there. It's going to be a wonderful event. Captain Mawakwa knows he was made and put into position to be over the Midwest. He knows that it can be taken away. So just like Christ, he knows he was put into the role of the ruler of this government, the ruler of this people. And he knows it can be taken away. But he's such a humble and let's just say he's the shit.
Right.
And, you know, like what other way you want to talk about LeBron and Michael? He is the LeBron and Michael Jordan for Israel. Right. He is the Tiger Woods. He is the Oscar De La Hoyas and the Floyd Mayweathers for Israel. He's all these great people all in one and 10 times better. Right. He knows that the Lord is the one that actually rules. Because all the Most High has to do is tell Christ, listen, I want this done, and Christ's going to get it done. He's perfect. And that's government. So what other things do we get from the laws? We spent a good amount of time on government, right? Because we get government from the laws. But what else do we get from the laws? What else governs us when we read these laws? What else do we learn when we read these laws? Brother?
The moral law?
Moral law, yes. Give me an example.
About adultery. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Correct.
Thou shalt not steal. Love your brothers as you love yourself.
Well, that can be used for moral. The moral would be the reasoning why, but it also ties into government. You know, it ties into structure and order. What about what about sacrifice? Right? Because we got laws that surround sacrifice, sacrificial laws, right? When do we learn about sacrifice, the laws pertaining to sacrifice? Or when could be the earliest example that we knew of the laws surrounding sacrifice? Abadi Babusha, can I get some water, Babusha?
Come.
Brother, you want anything to drink?
Oh, no, I'm good right now.
Okay.
What?
Right, when do we learn about sacrifices?
As a nation?
Just in general. When we open up the Bible, right? When we open up our book, when do we learn about sacrifice? Is it during the time of Noah, during the time of Christ, during the time of Tobit, during the time of Moses? You know, like when does sacrifice even come into the picture?
Oh. That'd be Cain and Abel, right?
Yes. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4, Baba Michelle. The water.
I got the bus.
This is one of the first instances where we knew that there were laws pertaining to sacrifice. You know, because people really don't dig this deep, right? They think we got everything with Moses. And it's not true. Because even when we were living in Egypt, before we even moved to Egypt, right? Israel raised his 12 children and his 12 sons and his X amount of daughters on the laws. Right. He raised his servants and his brethren on the laws. It all came from somewhere. Jacob got it from Isaac. So that means Ishmael, Isaac, all the other 7 or 8 brothers and X amount of sisters that Abraham had, all grew up knowing these laws. Right. These heathens that we read about, they all know these laws. Because where did Abraham come from? He came from the line of Shem. They all knew these laws because they all were taught by Noah. Right? So let's read Genesis chapter 4, verse 1.
You want me to read?
Please.
All right.
So right now we're going into sacrifice, laws on sacrifice.
Genesis chapter 4 and verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord.
Who?
From the Lord.
So even though Adam knew Eve, had sex with Eve, they knew that it was the Lord who gave them Cain. They knew that it was the Lord who gave them a child. Keep going.
And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And
hold on, sorry, brother. Now this is very important, right? Because when we learn about sacrifices, in Deuteronomy and Leviticus, right? We learn about how, there's certain things we sacrifice. You bring the best of the best sheep, the best lamb, the best goat, the best ram, the best ox, right? If you can't bring that, right, you bring the best chicken, the best hen. You can't bring that, you bring your best turtle dove, right? Because not everyone has access to what other people may have access to. That's why when a person has land, the corners and the edges were supposed to be kept untouched for the poor, for the homeless,
right,
for the orphan, for the widow, right?
Right.
So you can't expect an orphan to bring the best of a ram. Where are you gonna get the money from? So there's certain things that you can bring. You can go and hunt a turtle dove, a pigeon,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lord will accept that because that's the best that you could get. So keep that in mind as we read this. Abel, the younger son, was a keeper of sheep. Cain, the eldest son, was a tiller of ground. Please continue, brother.
All right, verse 3. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought forth fruit of the ground and offerings unto the Lord.
Wait, what?
An offering unto the Lord.
What chapter are we in? What book are we in?
This is Genesis chapter 4 and verse 3.
So in Genesis, the 4th chapter, the very beginning of the book, we learn that that man were to bring sacrifices to the Most High. So for everyone watching, for every Christian and Catholic and Muslim or Muslim, whatever you want to call yourself, for anyone who thinks that they're expert on the Bible and whatever, sacrifices started in Genesis chapter 4. That's where we learned about we were supposed to bring sacrifices, or that we brought sacrifices, tribute. If you want to take it there, we might even say a tithe, an offering to the Lord. Keep going.
Verse 4. And Abel, he also brought forth of the firstling of his flock, and of the fat thereof.
Stop. So what did Cain? So Adam has 2 sons. He's raising his 2 sons under the laws of the Most High. We already know that the breath of life that was given to Adam were these laws, right? Adam is teaching his sons. So that means Adam knew he was to bring sacrifices to the Lord. He's taught his sons because his sons are now bringing sacrifices to the Lord. However, this is very important. Adam taught Cain and Abel that they're supposed to bring sacrifices to the Lord. He taught them what kind of sacrifices that they're supposed to bring to the Lord. What did Cain bring?
He brought the fruit of the ground.
He brought some goddamn vegetables, some radishes, some onions. It wasn't even, okay, I can't say this because it doesn't say this, but it doesn't say he bought the biggest pumpkin that he ever had. It doesn't say that he had the most greenest lettuce. It doesn't say that he had the biggest and most orange carrot that there was. It doesn't say anything about bringing the best of the best or the first of the carrots that he grew, right? It doesn't say that. It just says he brought the fruit of the ground. So he gathered some spinach, he gathered some lettuce, he chopped up some carrots and made a chef salad to bring to the Lord. I'm exaggerating, of course, right? Now, what did Abel bring?
Abel brought the firstling.
The what?
The firstling.
That means that Abel had a gang of sheep. Now, how the videos in like Big Jaw sidebar, gang of ketchups. He had a gang of sheep. He had tons of sheep. He didn't bring the old ones. He didn't bring the newborns or the ones that, that were really young. He brought the firstlings, the ones that were born first, and now they have matured to the point where they can be sacrificed.
Right.
He brought the first. Normally the first is the best.
Right.
If you're first in the race, you're the best. Right?
Right.
He brought the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. He brought them fat and healthy, and they got meat on them and they got fat on them. They run around hopping and skipping and jumping off rocks and shit, but they also got fat on them. They're nice. Right?
Right.
Keep reading.
And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
What?
And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
Who listened to their father?
Abel listened.
Who paid attention to what their father was teaching them?
Right.
Let's take it a step further. Who respected the Lord?
Abel.
Abel, right? Because Adam is teaching his sons, this is what the Lord wants. You okay?
Yeah, come on.
You sure?
Yeah, come.
Adam is teaching his sons, this is what the Lord expects, and this is what you need to do.
I can turn it up a bit.
Too cold?
Yeah, come.
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't turn it up.
So we're seeing that Cain bought some veggies, he brought a chef salad. Abel brought that T-bone steak, that nice sirloin, right?
With the fat on it.
With the fat on it.
Right.
He brought that nice rack of lamb, right? And Cain brought a Caesar salad.
Right.
With no anchovies mixed with the sauce, right? Just maybe some crushed breadcrumbs on it, you know what I'm saying? Like croutons, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
That's what he brought. A salad. I don't know about you, but when I go to a restaurant, you should eat the salad, but I see the salad that comes with my steak. Salad gets pushed to the side, and I start eating that joint. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord had respect unto Abel's offering. The Lord had respect unto Abel and his sacrifice. The Lord didn't. It doesn't say the Lord had respect unto Cain. It doesn't say that the Lord had respect unto his fruit salad. It said the Lord respected Abel. And Abel brought him that fat, juicy ass lamb, right, with the curry sauce. You know what I'm saying? I'm exaggerating. I'm adding just for the teaching purposes. But he hooked it up to the Lord and loved it. He honored it. He respected Abel for doing that. Keep reading.
But unto Cain.
What?
But unto Cain.
Unto the older brother. Unto the brother that's supposed to get inheritance. Unto the brother that's supposed to be the best. Unto the brother that's the firstborn. Your firstborn. Adam taught Cain since he was born, because he's the firstborn. Who knows how many years apart? Let's just say Cain was 5 when Abel was born. Let's just say, for hypothetically speaking. Cain had all these extra years to learn what the Lord wants than Abel did. And Cain still didn't do what the Lord wanted. Keep reading.
But unto Cain And unto his offering.
So unto Cain and his chef salad,
he had no respect.
The Lord had no respect to his chef salad. You know, like, you get that shit out of here. Not in my house. No, got famous Mutombo, that African that played basketball. Not in my house. The Lord was like, not in my house. Yeah, but it's serious because we're joking and laughing and it's funny. It really is funny. But it's also not funny at the same time because it just shows again how disrespectful we can be as children.
Yeah.
It shows how disobedient we can be. It shows how we have the capability and have proven that we spit in the Lord's face time and time again. That we spit on his face and throw dirt in his face every single time, every chance we can get. Because Adam knew these things. Adam raised his sons knowing these things. How could you be so disrespectful to your own father? I can understand disrespecting your dad. F you, dad. I don't love you. But he took it to the next level and disrespected the Lord. Who do you think gave Adam these laws? The Most High. How do you think Adam knew what to sacrifice and what to give to the Lord and what not to? Because of the Lord. Now Adam is teaching his eldest son all these things. His eldest son is growing up saying, Khan, or why do I, dad? And his dad is whipping his ass because I said so. Right? So you, after all those ass whippings, you at some point in time, you would think, this is what dad said to do. Right? But no. Cain being the eldest brother, us knowing that we are a nation that belongs to the Lord, we still have the audacity to know all these things. We have the book. We have the Bible. The truth was brought back to the earth and allowed to be given to us again in 69. And since then, we still have the audacity to spit into the Lord's face. Right? Abel being the youngest brother, he's conning. Maybe he's asking why, or I don't want to, and getting his ass whooped too. But when it came down to it, he did what he was supposed to.
Right.
Sidebar, and this is what we all have to learn how to do. We may not want, as men, to go to camp on Saturdays or on Fridays. No, I want to sleep in this Saturday morning. And I don't want to go to Sabbath service. It's 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning. I want to go out Friday night, get some for my rib, and be at home all day long Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when it comes time to do what we have to do, we all have to step up to the plate and do it. This was the time for Cain to step up to the plate and do what he was supposed to do. He failed. Abel, it was time for him to do what was needed to be done. He stepped up to the plate and executed perfectly.
Right. And
this is what we all have to do. Who wants to keep these laws? There's 613 laws, right? How I'm supposed to keep 10? You want me to keep 10? You want me to keep 20? You know how many laws are in America? You know how many times we get jammed up because who the hell knew about jaywalking and getting a ticket for jaywalking? You know there's a law on the number of people that can be in the elevator and where you're supposed to stand?
You can't.
Wow.
You can't stand too close to people on the elevator.
Wait.
You can't have a certain weight capacity on the elevator.
You can't. Well, that I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's laws for all these things that we have no idea about, and we can find ourselves jammed up. So there's so many laws on earth because you got local laws. Sometimes if you live in a village, there's village laws. You got municipality, city, the laws in the city. Yeah, right. You got laws of the state. You got laws of the land, the federal law.
International.
Forget international law. If I go to Canada, there's laws that I have to know in Canada.
Right.
If I go to Mexico, there's laws I have to know in Mexico. If I go to any country, there's laws there there's more laws on earth than there are the laws of the Most High. So it should be easier for us to keep 613 laws if they apply. Because I can't keep the law of owning my own orchard if I don't have an orchard.
Right.
You know? But if I have a vineyard, I should be keeping the laws of that vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the 613 laws versus the hundreds of thousands and thousands of laws on this earth.
Right.
Let's just stick to what's easiest. Right?
Right.
And it was easy for Cain to just go to Adam. It's easy for Cain to go to his brother Abel and say, "Hey Abel, no, what can I do to get one of the best of the best of your sheep, so I can come bring a sacrifice to the Lord with you?" His brother, spirit of brotherhood, would have told him, probably say, "Just take it for free, right? Why not take it for free? Sacrifice to the Lord." He couldn't do that. He just took up some things from the ground and brought it to the Lord. Whereas Abel took his time feeding those sheep, protecting those sheep, making them fat, and bringing the best of the best to the Lord. Right? Keep going. We're on verse 5 still.
Yes, sir. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
You know, you get mad. I know growing up, I got mad when my mom whooped my ass when I did something wrong. And I know I did something wrong. But I didn't, but I expect not to be punished and have my ass whooped for doing something wrong. You know, you feel like my mom didn't have to beat me for coming home late. Why she got to beat me? I didn't do nothing. I just came home late. It's not that big of a deal, right? It's not that big of a deal, you know. Like I just eat healthy, Lord. You know, get some fiber in your diet, right? Yeah, you know, like hey, this is lettuce is really good. It's crunchy. Carrots they snap, you know. And his countenance fell. His whole demeanor, his whole behavior, the look on his face. He was angry. And he wasn't the same after that. He felt upset not only with himself, he was upset and jealous of his brother, upset with his dad, upset with his mom, upset with the Lord. The Lord disrespected me, Dad. Oh, I deserved it. Yeah, I know you told me I'm supposed to bring. You know, that's how we all do as children. I know you, Mom. You told me not to eat cookies past midnight, and that's why I got an ass whooping because you caught me eating cookies past midnight. And I'm mad at you for whooping my ass because you caught me because I was trying to be sneaky to eat the cookies past midnight. No, you get this whole argument, but you're wrong, and you don't want to accept that you're wrong. Right. This is Cain. Right. He doesn't want to accept that he's wrong. He doesn't want to accept the fact that ass whooping was righteous and justified. And you know, like, coming into this truth, we all do wrong, and we learn. That's what separates us. That's what separates the weak from the strong. We learn and we accept that metaphoric ass whooping. We accept that checking. If you're weak, you're gonna get emotional about it. You're gonna get emotional having a grown man, tell you to your face, another grown man, that what you did was effed up and was out of order and disrespectful and come down on you. A real man is going to accept that, understand that what he did was wrong, and why he's being checked is correct, and it's for him to do better the next time. A weak man is going to be like Cain. He's going to be angry at that checking. He's going to be angry that he was called out privately or publicly. He's going to be angry about that, and he's going to have resentment. He's going to be wroth, like it says here. You will start to see day by day, week by week, how his countenance falls. Sooner or later, you see him no more.
Right.
One day he just stops showing, and it becomes a week, and becomes a month. Next thing you know, like, oh, what happened to that brother? Then in a year's time, we have a class taught by the great General Muhammad, and he's saying how you were weak, and he's glad that you left, and that in General Muhammad's words, you went back into the world to suck on rod. Right. That's basically what it equates to. You went back out there to be a pussy. You went back out there to be a Christian. You went back out into the world to be a sinner because you couldn't. You didn't have what it took to prove to the Lord that you are perfect. Keep going.
Verse 6. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen?
So now the Lord wants to know, Cain, why are you upset? Captain Tazariak, after he checks me or Abadia or whoever that needs to be checked for something, and he sees the change in us, why are you acting like this? What's wrong? You have a problem? Your rib is not giving you some? Like what? Cap knows what's wrong. The generals know what's wrong. The Lord knows what's wrong with Cain. Keep going.
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted?
What he says?
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted?
What does every parent tell their kids? Read it again.
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted?
Right? How are we trained and raised here in the I.S.U.P.K? Read it again.
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted?
If you do what you're told, wouldn't everything go right? If you obey the laws of God, wouldn't the Lord be with you? If you obey the rules of your parents, wouldn't you be happy and get that new PlayStation 5, right? If you do what you're told in the army and the I.S.U.P.K for Christ, wouldn't the Lord protect you? Right?
Right.
I know my rib lives out there in California. I'm fortunate, she's fortunate that she lives in a house where a priest lives as well.
Yeah.
Her brother is a priest in the school.
Nice.
Right? She has slowly coming in and into the truth ever since her brother came into the truth. Right? There was a shootout that happened right in front of their house. A drive-by shooting. The house directly across the street. You know how easy it could have been where the shooters could have just pointed in the opposite direction and shot the house where our brother, the priest, lives and where my rib lives? But you know what? Read it again.
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted?
That priest keeps his house in order. I know that my rib is in good hands with her brother because he is an officer in the I.S.U.P.K under command of YAHANNA, serving Christ and doing what the Lord wants to be done.
Right.
If thou do good, wouldn't thou be accepted? If he wasn't doing good, would not his house be not accepted? Thanks to the Lord, he serves the Lord. Thanks to the Lord that my brother, an officer in the school, serves the Lord because his entire house was accepted by the Lord during that drive-by shooting. Because it easily could have been, the guns could have easily been pointed in the opposite direction. They were pointed in the direction where it was supposed to go to. Right? If you do well, if you obey me, aren't you going to be good? Right? That's what we tell our children. That's what the Lord tells us because we're his children. Keep going.
And if thou doest not well.
What?
And if thou doest not well.
If you don't do what I tell you.
Sin lieth at the door.
An ass whipping. Read it again.
If thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door.
A shootout, a drive-by, getting jumped, you being put to death, you losing everything, you getting cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, you being gay and a lesbian and a transformer, Decepticon, getting AIDS and herpes and all this stuff. Sin is at your door. Those bullets can come flying through those doors. That knife, that robbery could come right there at your door. It could be right there on your doorstep. Your children can suffer just so you can suffer. Your mom can suffer just so you can suffer. Your dog can suffer just so you can suffer. Everyone loves their dog, right? My dog got hit by a car. My cat got ran over, right? Everyone loves their pets. Your pet can be targeted just so you can suffer. Your children can be targeted your loved ones, your job, the way you make money, the way you move around the city in your BMW or your little hoopty. All of that can suffer, so you can suffer. So if you don't do well, sin lies at your door. If you don't listen and obey God, then you should know that there's consequences.
All right.
Keep going.
And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
Right?
And Cain talked with Abel his brother.
So that says enough, right? Unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Right? If Cain was smart, he should have known, as being the older brother, I should accept this checking. Because as the older brother, you're the leader. Right? Everyone tells you better listen to your older brother. Do what your older brother tells you. You're supposed to be the ruler. You're supposed to be the leader. You're the one that accepts and takes the inheritance. Right? Cain was supposed to be Abel's desire. Because Abel, like any younger brother, we all look up to our older brother, right? We all want to be like our older brother. But Abel can't look up to Cain when he's doing this. I can't look up to my older brother if he's selling drugs, sleeping with whores, robbing people, murdering people. I can't look up to that. I can't desire to be like my brother if he's disobeying the Lord, but I can desire to be like my brother if he's keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. I can desire to be like my brother. Now, if the roles are reversed, if Cain brought the sheep and Abel brought the lettuce, right? It makes sense for Abel to look up to his older brother and say, I should have done what he did. It makes sense. It naturally should work that way. I need to do better like my brother is. So I'm gonna look up to my older brother and do what he does. It doesn't work. It didn't work that way, right? So where else do we learn about sacrifices?
Shalom, what time period are you talking about?
Any time period.
Leviticus.
Yeah, Leviticus chapter 1. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 1, verse 1. Moses is giving us laws on sacrifices and telling us what to do for sacrifices.
Oh, shucks.
You can read it when you got it, brother.
All right. You read?
No, you read.
This is Leviticus chapter 1 and verse 1. And the Lord called unto Moses and spoke unto them out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, you shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd, and of the flock. If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door, at his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord.
So here in Leviticus, we start to learn about sacrifices and what is necessary and required of us for sacrifices. Right? So you can all read this on your own time. I know we're nearing the end of class. You can all go through this on your own and read Leviticus chapter 1 and ask any questions you may have next time we come back. Right? But this, you start to read about what's acceptable for the Lord. You start to learn on what needs to be done with those sacrifices. You know, how the fat gets burnt and the animal needs to be bled, right? You start to learn all about these things. How the priest killed the sheep and the ox and the ram how they wash the parts and all this. You start to learn everything about sacrifices and what was acceptable. How an animal can't come with blemishes.
Right.
How it has to be the best of the best. It can't be diseased or sick or weak about it.
It has to be salt. It has to be salt. You can't have God don't like unseasoned food.
Yes. God likes flavor. That's why God was like, hey, keep your chef salad. I'll take the rack of lamb, you know? Salt and salad or seasoning salad just sounds weird too. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, salt and salad is good.
You're weird. I'm joking. My body's a great man. But yeah, seasoning on salad, it just sounds weird. I never, you know.
With the salt, did he add wine to it too? Salt and wine?
Oh,
Marinate. Now you're trying to be fancy. Trying to marinate it, right?
Yeah, but I thought that was in there. My fault. I might be wrong.
Go ahead. Read what you were reading?
No, not where I was reading. I mean, but I thought I remembered when I was going through this before in the past. I might be wrong. I thought I remembered.
Wait, what do you mean wine?
As he sacrificed it, he put salt and herbs and wine.
Wine itself is a sacrifice. But what I'm saying, what I was explaining is, the Most High requires that your food be flavored. So you have to put salt on your, like when you go and you cook the meal from the cattle, that's basically oxtails.
Yeah.
You put salt on the oxtails. That's what the Most High is saying.
Yeah.
Put salt on the oxtails.
Yeah.
And then you might have to give a separate offering, and that offering might be a bottle of wine.
Okay.
You have to understand, a sacrifice is food.
Yeah.
Somebody eats that. Come.
Correct. The priest, which is what the priest would read.
Gotcha.
That's how they would survive. That's in their inheritance.
Right.
Any questions on the two topics we've been over today? Go ahead, brother.
Not too many questions about the two topics, but class go by too fast, bro. I wish we could be a little bit longer, more often, or something, man.
Well, we got class Monday through Monday.
Yeah, really.
There's class Monday, there's class Tuesday, there's class Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Now, on all these days, there's classes going on at different times.
Right.
So it's 9 o'clock right now, right? But on the West Coast, it's going to be 7 o'clock in an hour, and they're going to start their law class.
So just jump online and catch the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just go to
at 8 o'clock.
I didn't even think about that.
At 8 o'clock, the Midwest was doing their law class.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because they're like an hour or two behind us, something like that.
I didn't even think about that.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, that's right.
All day long, this class. The brothers doing radio shows and podcasts, all classes. About it?
England is 2 or 3 o'clock.
Yeah. In the morning for us, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning for us, England and the UK is doing class.
Well, I think it's 2, 3 in the afternoon. Because John Mahoney, when he did it last Thursday.
Aren't they 12 hours ahead of us? Or?
I'm not sure, because John Mahoney was teaching their class 2, 3 o'clock.
Let me see.
Yesterday. No, I mean last Thursday.
I need those links.
Yeah, come.
I need this.
Yeah, come. It's a lot of well, I'll talk to you about it. So
yeah.
We need an archive department. But we need more sort of archive page.
So right now it's 9 p.m. in New York. It's 2 a.m. in the UK. So it's 5 hours ahead of us.
Okay, yeah. So there would be about 2 o'clock. Yeah. 2 o'clock for us would be 7 for them.
So so if it's at their 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. Wait, no, it was our 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Okay.
So that would be their 7 o'clock.
So at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for us, the UK is doing class.
7 p.m.
And their time zone, yes.
Yeah, right.
So there's class all day long, different time zones,
right.
every single day of the week.
All right, I need to get these things, please.
I know Officer Karab does class here.
Right.
Saturdays. At 7 o'clock in the school after camp. I know Captain Shmawala does class here in the school.
So Saturday here is the 9 o'clock class. 9
that's 9 to
whatever for the Sabbath service.
Right.
Then at the same time we could be having camp.
Yeah.
And then at 7 p.m. we're having class in here for Long Island.
Word. All right.
Then Sunday at 1:30 or 2 o'clock we're having class in here for Queens.
Right.
And right now, from 7 to 9 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have class for all of Yonkers and for headquarters.
Yes.
Right? And with that,
Wow.
any more questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Badia?
Wow.
And with that, I'm Priest and Officer Shagapan. Joining me today was Priest and Officer Badia. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shem, to all the brothers in class and watching online, and to the sisters. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shem Shem. Shalom, Israel. You can cut it.
Shalom. Great class, man.
We'll sign Christ, brother.
Son, Christ.
You here Friday for